Hello, fellow followers. Welcome back to FanZcene here on the Physical Media Show. With me tonight is Tom Connors, and we're starting a little earlier tonight because we sort of got some free time. So how you doing this night, evening, morning, whatever time it may be for you, Tom?
I don't even know what time it is anymore.
Yeah, I
This
know.
daylight savings thing can go shove itself.
It's so stupid that we keep doing this.
I know, right?
I don't know why. I don't know why. Uh, let's get to some of the chat that's maybe there. I know we're starting a little early, so share out the link. Let everybody know we're live earlier tonight. But right now, I know we got Random Brad as always. Good vibes to you. Style section. He said he says, "Is someone going to have to go down to the Walmart and page Runner for the show?" Runner's actually doing his own stream on his own channel right now. He's too busy talking Scream with Justin Proper, so and Rookie Critic, and Ace Hanlon. Hola, how are you? And Tyrell72. Good evening to you. Didn't I click on it? There, yeah, there we go. Good evening to you. Glad to see you here, and to everybody watching that's not in chat. Welcome, welcome. I'm sure everybody start rolling in here soon. But yeah, we decided to go a little early tonight, didn't we, Tom? A little live.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? I mean, I have a little bit of a free night tonight, no kids, and figured what the hell.
Maybe we can get out of here and you can enjoy part of the evening.
Yes, yes, yes. But let's go over a few things to get going here. Looks like we may be finally getting the Princess Bride in 4K. No official date yet. Yes, as you wish. Never get into it with a Sicilian. What's he say? I can't remember the line. He says, "Never something with a Sicilian." That was funny though. Hello, cool gamer. Yeah, I know, it's like right on the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember what he says. Walloweem, welcome. How are you doing? Urge to make daylight savings jokes are rising. Yeah, I still never understood why we still do that. I don't get it. There's no reason to do that. But as you wish, yes, Princess Bride 4K. It looks like we're getting confirmation that True Lies, The Abyss, will be coming sometime in 2023 on 4K. Oh my God, what was his name that just confirmed that? What was his name, Tom? My mind's going blank. I can't remember. Either way, he was asked by on the digital bits if any news on those, and it looks like True Lies and The Abyss are coming sometime in 2023. So if you guys have been waiting for those, I know a lot of people have really been waiting for those. I know True Lies. I want True Lies and The Abyss, so I'm looking forward to that. And then let's see, what else do we have coming? Death Machine, starring Brad Dourif. It's coming from Keanu Lorber in a Blu-ray. The movie Netherworld is coming from Full Moon in June, I believe. It's Full Moon Blu-ray. It's good. It's going to probably be hit or miss. It depends on your taste in Full Moon movies. Let's see, what else did we have here. I want to make sure I get everything. Just want to hit some of the bigger titles because there wasn't like a whole lot. Oh yeah, the Time Bandits are coming from the Criterion collection, and that will be on a 4K in June. And then also we did get confirmation that on July 4th, National Lampoon's Vacation will be available.
Nice.
Yes, so we got confirmation on that. And then we got The Nutty Professor, the original with Jerry Lewis, is going to be coming from. We didn't get where that was coming from, did we?
No, it was a big but I think it's Kino.
Yeah, it's a big, limited edition 4K, it says. May 23rd, it will be coming out. And then, here's one we didn't bring up earlier. It's not a big title, but it's a Keanu Lorber title I just saw. Hustle, starring Burt Reynolds, is coming to Blu-ray on Keanu Lorber from a new 4K scan of the original 35mm negative. So that's really about it, guys, for the big news on physical media releases coming. We may be having another. I'm trying to get us a third here. It looks like we may have Tim Hayes joining us here soon for the show tonight, because Runner looks like he probably won't show up tonight. So let me send this to Tim real quick. Tom, talk something real quick.
Sacre bleu. I don't know. Things are happening. The world is on fire. You can get Rocky Collection for $46. You can get Crimes of the Future for $17.99, and I don't even know what that is. You can get the Woody Allen collection for $34.99, but it sucks. It's a lot of his latter films. Let's see. Nah, I don't know what to talk about. It's like I'm not even a professional here.
I don't know how to stream. How do I stream?
Do I talk into this thing? Hello, 10-4.
My mama never taught me to read.
Do I have to say over and out before I'm done?
breaker 10-4 or whatever.
breaker.
Yeah, that's really the Rocky things. A lot of people seem to think maybe we may be getting them fixed because I do believe I heard that they were pulled from Best Buy's website, and like you said, the price keeps dropping on that on Amazon. So it looks like they may be fixing some of the problems that are going wrong with it.
It just seems because it was the same pattern as with the Mad Max box set.
Yeah, so it looks like that may be happening. That may be.
We'll hear something sooner or later from Bill Hunt, if not.
This is true. But that's really about it for like all the new releases and everything that's coming out. I mean, there was a lot of stuff announced, but that's probably the biggest stuff that you're going to get that everybody's interested in. Other than Daylight and Dante's Peak are coming to Blu-ray, so no official date on those yet. But that's what we have for you, and it looks like Tim Hayes will be joining us here very soon once he gets his set up and gets his movies picked. So that'll be fun to see what he brings to the table tonight. But what was that guy's name, Tom? That confirmed the Abyss and True Lies. I keep blanking on his name.
Oh, it was it's Cameron's cinematographer. John
I know.
Landau.
There you go, John Landau. I keep wanting to say John Landis, but I know it's not John Landis.
Totally different dude.
Two different people with that. Tim Hayes says he will be here soon, everybody. He will be here soon. So he had to take out some trash, and then he's going to grab his picks and be here soon.
He's taking out the trash.
This time it's personal.
That's right. Well, I guess we can bring up some other announcements. We got a Cliffhanger Steelbook that is also getting Dolby Atmos revamp, and I believe it's also getting some deleted scenes that weren't available before, if I remember reading right.
Yeah.
So there's a few new things to that one. So of course they have to make me rebuy it.
And luckily for me, I just bought it for like $5 at a Big Lots on 4K. Which was
lucky,
like,
that's a good move.
So
I got it for like 15, I think, but yeah,
it was just sitting there. It's like it was the only 4K in the Big Lots store, and it was like right after you brought it on the show the next day, and it was just sitting there for $5. And I was like, Tom just said that was good, so I grabbed it up and bought it.
Yeah. No, it's pretty decent.
Yeah.
But and then we've got Italian Job. Did you mention that one?
Oh no, I did not. The remake Italian Job with Mark Wahlberg. Yeah. Coming 4K, Insidious in 4K.
No.
What? No, what?
That's Mark Wahlberg.
Oh.
That happening. You're going to kill me in my sleep. What? No.
Oh, that movie sucked so bad. It was the trees all along, man.
The trees are trying to kill us. Come on. Run this way.
That was
another one that we didn't get on my show was The Hustle. New.
Yeah, I brought that one up with Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, Burt Reynolds. The Shooter's also getting a standard 4K release as well.
Yes,
so yes. Just a steelbook anymore. Netherworld. Did you mention that one?
Yes, I brought him Netherworld. Yes.
Right. Well, then we are screwed. You brought just about.
Yeah, I brought up all of them to the thing. That's all right. I mean, we can go with your first pick, and then hopefully by the time you get done, Tim will be here. Yeah. So,
let's see here. I brought this up on 4K for you, so let's start there. I did pick up the Puppet Master 3, and I got to give the guys props over at Full Moon Direct, because I had an issue with the order. It was charging me for shipping and handling, even though I bought enough to get the free shipping and handling. So they made sure that was fixed, and they also sent me a free DVD with my
Nice.
order, which was kind of weird. But no, yeah, it was. They were very helpful. Got a hold of somebody pretty quickly, and they took care of the problem. Now, the upside is this looks so much better than what Trancers did on 4K Blu-ray, and it does look better than the old Puppet Master 3 Blu-ray. So there is that. Is it like reference quality? Oh, hell no. Like, not by far, but it is definitely the best the movie probably will ever look. The sound is probably my biggest gripe. I don't know what they did. This is another one of those where they just decided for the 5.1 mix just to spread everything out to the front channels, and it doesn't even really sound quite well. And the 2.0 mix is kind of lackluster. So the soundtrack on this is not the greatest on either form you listen to it in. There's also a Dolby digital version of the 5.1 mix too, but I stretch calling it a 5.1 mix.
It's not that good, huh?
Not really. It's really bold and in your face, and there's no real separation to it. It's just all spread across the front speakers. But if you listen to the 2.0 mix, there's not a lot of ambience or anything in the soundtrack. It doesn't really spread itself out too often. I mean, it's a cheap straight to video movie, guys. I mean,
Yeah.
but the reason why this one's probably being released before the others, I'd imagine this is a fan favorite, and that's probably why. But no, overall it looks pretty good. And it is probably the best of the Puppet Master films, to be honest with you, story-wise and all that business. Maybe
It
the
seems the
first
one
one's
that
the only
gets.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was gonna say it seems like that's the one besides the first one that gets a lot of praise. The one that most people talk about.
Yeah, it's because it's one of those situations, kind of like with Nightmare on Elm Street, where the second movie kind of went off the rails, and then the third movie, they're like, we got to get this thing back on track.
Yeah.
And they did it. And much like Dream Warriors and Nightmare on Elm Street, they did it with style, and it worked, and they introduced one of the most famous of the puppets in that film with Six Shooter, and Guy Rolfe taking over for the role of Toulon is also a fan favorite. He went on to play the role at least 4, 5, 6 more times, I think it was.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that region. And no, yeah, this is clearly one of the best of the bunch. Outside of the first one, it probably has some of the better special effects aside from 2. I mean, that's the only real saving grace of 2 is it had some of the best special effects. Otherwise, 2 is a horrible fucking story.
I would tell you one of the other saving grace that I liked for part 2 was the actress in it that goes topless.
Oh yeah, it had plenty of boobage,
Yeah,
but
it's
the movie itself is a horrible story.
Yeah. So, yeah, but yeah, you're right. You're right. I always, like you said, I always prefer Toulon to be an anti-hero, not so much straightforward.
Yeah,
The
well,
villain.
not only that, the second movie, if you really look at it, it is just straight rip off of the original.
Yeah.
Right. It is the same fucking story, only instead of psychics, you got the what is it, the paranormal investigators or whatever they are, and
Yeah.
instead of the other guy, it's Toulon, and I like to think that that's not really Toulon. Like in my
I think
headcanon, that's an imposter. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what most people assume. I think it's been theorized, right, that he's not even really Toulon. So.
Well, in our headcanon, we had to go that way because what
happens in the third movie from it's a completely different person. What happened? So yeah. I think
I can recommend it though, but I can't recommend it at the high price that it usually goes for.
Yeah, they're a little expensive on their 4Ks of Full Moon are. That's what I mean. I'm glad I didn't shell. I mean, I'm glad I told you about the sale that Full Moon had, so you could get some money back. But I'm glad I didn't shell out for the Trancers 4K after hearing how bad it was, and plus it was like $50. So
yeah, most people you'll be able to wait until they have another sale and probably get it for $20. Then it's probably worth it. Yeah. I mean, even that's a bit pricey for this movie, but I mean, if you're a Puppet Master fan, this is one of the ones that's kind of must have. So
yeah, so
I think I'll see honestly more than maybe the first one and this one, and maybe part 2 getting a 4K release anyway.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna wait till they have their next sale, and I'll pick up part 3 because I do want that one on 4K. I'm glad to know that one isn't bad like Trancers, so I'm happy about that.
Oh no, you can tell it's in rough shape, and it was a cheap film.
Yeah,
I mean, scan, but yeah.
So I mean, like the Puppet Masters, like to you, like to me, they mean something special to me because I remember staying up late in my room. Me and my brother, we had this little TV built-in VCR, which is why I bought that little TV I've showed on here because it reminds me of the one we had in our room. We watched like the first 4 or 5 Puppet Masters on. We rented them and watched them, and it's like stayed up all night watching them. So Puppet Masters mean a lot to me. The first 4 at least, because I was like staying up with my older brother watching movies I know I shouldn't have been watching. So there's good times. So I'm glad to get the Puppet Masters again.
Yeah, and again, like I said, I don't expect it to look beautiful. Like it's an older
Yeah,
scan.
yeah. I mean that's,
Um,
but it's probably better than the Blu-ray. So
oh hell yeah, you could definitely tell right off the bat. I could tell a big difference. I watched a couple minutes. There's some weird shots in here. They must have went back and did a recolor timing.
hmm.
Um, and the thing is I have to go back and look. He used to have an old VHS rip too. Um, but my buddy might still have the VHS. I'll have him check. I'm trying to remember if it was the same or different because like the shots, like the stock footage shots of like of Germany and all that kind of stuff, they have like a red hue in the new version. They didn't have a red hue in the old Blu-ray. They're like just this grayish blue hue in those shots. So they did a recolor timing, obviously. And because I think I swear I remember him always being more of an orange red color.
Right.
Now that I've seen it in this version, people brought it up. So I'd have to go back and look. If somebody remembers out there in the chat, actually, please let us know. But from my recollection from the old VHS and Laserdisc, I swear it always was like a red color. It's supposed to look like it was on fire, like they're bombing and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So they fixed that if that's the case. And not only that, just the resolution alone, even though this probably comes from the same exact scan, and I'm almost positive it does, just in the last, 10, 15 years since they did the old Blu-rays, like the compression that's on those old Blu-rays, it's horrible. Like you see a
Mm-hmm.
lot of artifacting and stuff, and it's clean here, very clean compared to that one. And it definitely brings out the resolution, and the reds pop real nice. And even though it's shot real cheap, it looks really good. So I'm kind of hoping that the first Puppet Master comes out pretty soon, and they do a really good bang up job on, because that one probably had the most money put into it as far as
Yeah.
film wise and all the stuff. So yeah.
And that was a theatrical release and stuff. So yeah.
And the stop motion in part 3 looks fucking amazing. So they must even have
Really
had the negative for the stop motion scenes, because those scenes really pop. Yeah, like
nice.
the 6-shooter scene and the tunneler scene really pop quite well.
Nice.
There's not very much stop motion in this one, so but yeah.
That's cool. That's cool, Lisa. At least we know it probably came from the negative there.
They claim it's the negative, but then they took that claim off of these new Blu-rays. That claim has always been on the old Blu-rays, every blue moon, Jesus Christ,
Full moon.
full moon Blu-ray that I have gotten in the past, unless it was an older film that they procured, it always said it was from the original negative.
Right.
Always, every single one of them.
Hey
So yes, as
guys.
far as I know, it's from the negative.
Hey,
But yeah,
Tim.
hey Tim, how you doing?
Yeah, and I see you're live already.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
we
started
went
a little bit early tonight.
Yeah. Just a little early. We had
Yeah,
some free time.
You
Yeah,
must be
I-
on the West Coast. It looks like you still got sun out there.
Yeah, it's because of daylight savings. I'm
Yep.
glad because I just had to take out the trash.
It's burnt near 9 o'clock here, and it's almost 10 o'clock for Greg.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's almost 6:30 here.
Oh, look at that. He's got like lots of time left in the day.
Yes.
He's like, I'm just lounging now. I'm just getting done.
Yeah, my sleep schedule's all messed up, so I'm glad I get extra
Oh, yeah.
daylight.
Yeah. There you
I
go.
slept in today.
Yeah, so I was just showing my first pick, Tim. It was a Puppet Master 3 4K.
Yes.
Okay, well let's see.
You want to go? You got
Yeah, I'll
any
go
more?
with the classic one. It's from 1962, and it's one of those movies like Night of the Living Dead that fell into the public domain. But this one came out in 1962. It's called
Mhm.
Carnival of Souls, and
Oh, I've heard of that one, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
This 2-disc DVD set that Criterion put out is the only way you can get both cuts of the movie. Because
Nice.
I think they lost any film elements to the longer cut. So the Blu-ray only has the shorter theatrical cut. to get the extended director's cut, you have to get the DVD because I think all they could find was the tape master. So I bought this off of eBay.
Yeah, it looks like an older Criterion
Yeah.
disc.
Yeah, it is, because this is just a DVD. It's just 2 DVDs. But yeah, I checked this out from the public library a while back, and then now I've bought it off of eBay. Yeah, there's this drag race at the start of the film. These guys in this car ask this car full. Well, there's 3 girls in this other car. They ask them to do this drag race across a bridge, and the girl's car tips over into falls off the bridge and sinks into the water. And they go looking for the girls, but then one of the girls mysteriously pops up out of the water out of nowhere, and they're not able to find the car with other 2 girls in it. So this lady, she's a college graduate. I don't know about the other 2, but she becomes a church organist, I think in Utah, and she keeps seeing like this zombie like guy keeps appearing everywhere, and there's this carnival that's like this old abandoned carnival.
Yeah.
With this building in there, and then she keeps having these visions of these zombies in there, and she eventually gets fired from this church for playing the sacrilegious music on the organ, but she goes back there, and then she sees a zombie of herself that drops dead while the other zombies are dancing, and they chase her and grab her and take her back, and then it just ends really strangely because they pull the car out of the water and she's in the car with the other 2 girls dead.
Spoilers.
Spoiler.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but it's one of those public domain movies. If you haven't seen it by now, you haven't seen it before.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I think they even tried to remake it a little bit later on.
They did, but
like a Wes Craven Presents Carnival.
Yeah, I think it's one of those remakes that's not worth seeing.
I don't remember I seen the remake. I don't think it's
I saw clips of the remake on TV, but it looks like they just changed it too much. I think the remake's about like a killer clown and some sort of haunted carnival.
Yeah. So that's interesting. You can only get the 2 cuts on the DVD, and the Blu-ray doesn't have the 2 cuts.
Yeah, because it was one film that they recut it for its theatrical release because the distributor wanted to put it in drive-ins on a double bill with another movie called The Devil's Messenger, and that happened. But then it was back in the late 80s, early 90s. The film was restored nearly to its full length. It was originally, I think, a 91-minute film, but I think some of the footage got eaten up in a projector, but it wasn't any footage that was really that important. So,
yeah,
the longer cut's like it's around 83 minutes long. That's the extended director's cut. That cut's gotten onto some other cheap DVDs as well. Occasionally, most DVD copies have been of the shorter theatrical cut that runs only around 78 minutes.
Nice. That's cool. I don't think, like I said, I don't think I've ever seen the original, but I did see the remake, and or if it was a remake, it wasn't very good.
Yeah, it's one of those. I think it's one of those films that's a remake in name only.
Yeah. Just use the name Carnival Souls. Well, that is a good first pick, Tim. I'm glad you brought something. You're like you're going to be like Mike and them, just bringing stuff that we've never heard of. But if you got any more words, I'll go on to me if you're good.
Yeah, aside from this director Herc Harvey, he directed all these like educational films mainly. I think this was his only theatrical film. You eventually got this into art house movie theaters, though, for its re-release, but it fell into the public domain because I think the distributors ran off with the money. They didn't properly copyright it.
You gotta love those old distributors back in the day. All right. Well, I'm gonna go on to my first pick of the night. And Tom, since you brought up the one we talked on 4K for you, I'll bring up the one I talked about on 4K for you. I've been on a bit of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre kick here lately, so I got Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 on 4K from Vinegar Syndrome. I love this movie, man. I forgot how good this was, and I was so glad to have picked it up. I changed the little slip there. So glad to pick it up because I've watched it twice now, and the 4K on this is outstanding. Vinegar Syndrome did a heck of a job on this. If you've not ever seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, see it. It is just a balls to the wall, fun movie.
That's the one with Dennis Hopper?
Yes, that is the one with Dennis Hopper in it.
Okay.
Yeah, there he is, wielding 2 chainsaws. It is just a great movie. My God, Bill Moseley as Chop Top, Carolyn Williams as Stretch, Dennis Hopper as Lefty, Leatherface. It all works. It's funny, it's dark, it's crazy, and I just had a blast watching it again. Like I said, I've watched it twice. Brian Board, we started early because I actually had some free time, and me and Tom was talking. We thought we'd go early for a little bit. But I'm glad you guys are joining us now. And we got Tim with us today. Tim Hayes, who's usually in the chat and is a channel member here. So thank you for being a channel member, Tim Hayes.
Hi, Brian Barth.
And he's a huge physical media collector.
Yes, he's got a huge collection, and he's going to show us some crazy stuff tonight, I have a feeling.
And this isn't one of my picks, but it's just one that I have in my collection.
Just a random.
Yeah, I just pulled it off. Like, this is just another random one off the shelf.
There you go.
One of those Mill Creek 50 movie packs.
Mill Creeks. We love Mill Creek.
Yeah, they don't put out as many of these 50 horror ones as like they used to. I think it's just mainly just this one that they still put out.
Yeah.
A lot of
do a lot more TV now.
Yeah. I must admit, I watched The Godfather Part 1, 2, and 3 times in a row. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I watched, like I said, I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 twice. That was my first pick. It was great. Vinegar Syndrome did a great job on the 4K transfer. It's loaded with special features. It's still got all the special features from Shout, I believe in it. Isn't that right, Tom? That they still got all those? That Shouts from
if I remember right, everything's carried over, and then they had even a bunch of new stuff.
Yeah, and then a bunch of new stuff. I almost literally could watch this movie again. I had so much fun because I watched the first one. I got the first one in 4K, and it was great. We love the first movie. But the first one movie is intense. It still legitimately is intense when you watch it, and so it takes a while in between viewings to want to watch that one again. And then I watched the third one because I hadn't seen the third one in a while and hadn't got my second one yet. And I actually enjoyed the third one, but then when I watched the second one, I was like, when they say this is the best sequel of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, this is the best sequel, and it's probably the most rewatchable one. So if you guys can manage to get this off of Vinegar Syndrome, get it. If you order it probably from Amazon, I don't think you get the hard outer case. You just get the slip cover, so that's just as good. So check it out, guys. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I am the Lord of the Harvest. I love Dennis Hopper in that movie. He's just like, he's perfect casting all around in that movie. And I love the scene.
Bubba, you fucked up my Sonny Bono wig.
He did it. The plate right here, son of a. At least it's still good. Like you said, his introduction is just so good in that movie. When she comes walking down the steps and she sees him, like I watched the special features about that. She had not talked to him or met him till that very moment in the movie. She decided that she didn't want to. So when she came down the steps and she saw him sitting there in full makeup for the first time, that was the first time she's seen him, period. and what he was going to look like, and meeting Bill for the first time. So, and that scene really plays. It's really creepy too, and creepy and funny at the same time. We always talk about how this one is supposed to be a comedy, but it's really creepy too. It still's got some really scary, intense moments in it. He had, Brian Barth, he had to, because I mean, how was he going to do the first movie? And like we've said before, that Toby Hooper thinks the first movie is a comedy too. He does. He did before he passed away. He thought the first movie was a comedy, and the second one, he just went for it. He just straight went for the comedy aspect of the film, and I think it works. I think it really plays better, because I don't think you could have topped the scariness factor, the intensity, and like the realism of the first movie. You just weren't going to recapture that for a second time. So he had to go in a different direction. I believe it worked for the better. But there's my first.
I know it's sacrilege. I like the second film better than the first one.
You know what? Normally, because after watching the first one, because I really, really love the first movie, but I think I may have to agree with you, Tom.
Yeah.
Because it's been so long since I've seen part 2. And I've watched it twice now, and I'm like, yeah, this might be better. This might be better than the first movie. So it's fun. And I was just thinking to myself, like, with the chainsaw seduction scene when Leatherface is doing that, it like finally dawned on me, like, because I saw the first 2 when I was really young, probably when I really, really shouldn't have. And I always thought it was kind of funny. They're like, oh, he's rubbing her up the leg, going to her, with the chainsaw.
Yeah.
And I thought, then it never dawned on me that I didn't quite get what she was doing in that scene. The way she was like trying to save her life. Like, yeah, she was seducing me. Like, now that I'm older and I know about women, I know what she was doing. Because then I didn't know it. I just thought, why is she acting like that? Why? And then now I'm getting, it's like, oh, so that's what it's all about. So, but yeah, it was fun time.
Chop Top never died.
No, I believe that. Shit, I believe that. I believe he's still alive. Like even she said, because I watched the special features. She said that she would love to come back. She said Chop Top is still alive. She's still out there a stretch. Yep. You always can bring back Leatherface. Yeah. So she said you could literally make a sequel to this one, and it would work.
I believe so. If I was going to do it, I'd do a direct sequel too.
Yeah, I would too.
Who's Chop Top?
Bill Moseley.
Chop Top would be Bill Moseley's character.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the twin brother of the hitchhiker from the first film. Yeah.
Yeah, which we didn't realize till just recently.
Yeah,
as well.
I don't know why it never dawned on me. I've seen the movie dozens of times, at least over the years. It was in fact like I saw the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 together for the first time.
That's about like how I did.
My cousins introduced me to them. They had them on an old tape dubbed off of VHSs. So it had 1 and 2 back to back. And so yeah, even then I've seen it, I don't know how many million times or whatever, like I said. Never noticed that. Never put 2 and 2 together until this last time watching it here, and it's like, holy shit, that's the hitchhiker. And then they actually talk about it in the documentary, and I'm like, oh, it is. I thought so this time, and it just never dawned on me. So it's like, yeah, that's his brother he's carrying around. Yeah.
It dawned on me finally when he pulled out when the dad he was the dad, right? Or was he one of their brothers? I can never remember.
I think, and I think there's another scene because I think there's another part in the movie where he's like, "Get your brother off the table" or some shit like that.
Yeah,
or whatever.
And then when he pulls out the grenade, really cemented it. When I was like, "Oh yes, that's it."
Yeah, I still need to get a better copy of the original. I've got the old. I think it's an old MPI DVD of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it's just letterboxed. It's not anamorphic.
Yeah. If you can't get the 4K, which is actually on sale right now for $22.99, the new 4K of the first one, buy you the Blu-ray Steelbook from like 2017, I think it was. It's only like $12.99, I believe. It's pretty much the same scan. it's perfect. That one would do you just
There's
fine.
a
Tim.
non-steelbook version you can get for even cheaper.
Yeah, there's even cheaper than that with the non-steelbook version.
But if you can get your hands on this new 4K one, I don't know if you got a 4K player or not, Tim.
No, I don't have a 4K player.
No, yeah, you'd be good enough with just the old Blu-ray that just come out here.
It's
like 5,
pretty much
6,
the same
actually,
scan.
Yeah, years ago or whatever it was.
Yeah, 2017, I believe. Yeah. Yeah. So get that. And
it looks almost as good as the 4K, actually.
Yeah.
like Greg said, it's the same scan. I mean, it's 16 millimeter though. How much?
Yeah. The biggest thing with the new 4K is like wider shots out in the daylight look a lot. The HDR really helps that, but for the most part, it looks almost exactly the same as the Blu-ray, that 2017 one. Yeah.
But it's a nice transfer. So
yes, very nice. Very nice. But yeah, that's my first pick, Texas Chainsaw 2, which I'm really glad to have finally picked up. Now I don't want to get
now you know I was gushing so much over it, don't
you? Yes. Oh man, I mean the grain and the clarity and oh man, the sound,
the resolution. Even the 2.0 sound was just good.
Right. And then when that music picks up when he's dancing with the dead body, chopping at him.
Well, I got the soundtrack, and I'm pissed it doesn't have the pop songs on it either.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that sucks.
Because the song in the opening is shit. I can't remember the guy now. He's part of a band. Damn it. But that one's a good tune, and there's a couple other good tunes in the movie too. And I'm just like, God dang it!
Yeah, it's got some good ones.
Yeah, some good rock tunes on there.
Yeah.
I got the soundtrack, but all this is the score. It's like I want the other music too, because I don't think they've ever released a soundtrack. Yeah,
that's interesting. I wonder you'd have to go to the end of the credits and start just copying what the songs they are, so you can find them. But yeah, release that pop soundtrack. I
found a couple of them here and there on like YouTube and shit like that. But
yeah.
Let me see. I'm trying to remember who song that first song in the movie is my favorite one. I think they would bring it back at the end too.
Yeah, I think they do. And you're right, style section. This is a reason why some shows and movies actually do not get newer releases, because music licensings. Sometimes they don't want to play ball. So.
Strange Things Happen. That's the one I'm thinking of.
There you go. Strange Thing. I remember. Yeah, that one.
And then Stuart Copeland is who sings that. Now, what band was he in?
The Police.
The Police, yes. Thank you. That's what I was trying to
think of. Tim Hayes.
And I think he did the music for the Star Wars Droids cartoon.
Probably. But you also had like Timbuk 3 on here. The Cramps. Oingo Boingo. Concrete Blonde. Rory Erickson. See, that might have been a reason why they never... Or Roky Erickson, not Rory. Okay. Let's see. A couple from Concrete Blonde. Lords of New Church. Yeah, I'm surprised if they had... Maybe they did, and I've just never seen it. But, yeah, I've never actually seen a soundtrack.
Yeah, I've never seen it myself. Maybe we could get a nice new release of that down the line. Anybody's listening?
That's what I was hoping for with that Waxworks one I got. I was like, maybe you'll have everything because it's a 2-disc. No, it's just the score, which is cool, but
yeah. One day.
I suppose let's go to my second.
Yeah, go ahead. What do you got?
This is the beginning of a trend. I've been reading, listening to book on tape, whatever you want to call it, cinema speculation from Quentin Tarantino. And he has a couple of chapters that are dedicated to Steve McQueen films. So I went on a Steve McQueen deep dive because I had realized I'd only seen a couple of his films, believe it or not.
Same
and of course,
here.
It's the two that everybody's seen.
Bullet.
Well, Bullet was one of them I had seen before. But of course, prior to Bullet, way back in the day, all I'd ever seen was The Blob and Magnificent Seven. And I realized I'd only seen those 3 films. I need to get caught up. So I'd never seen The Great Escape.
Nice.
And I got the 4K Kino Lorber one. Now, this does not have DNR on it. So keep that in mind, kids. And it does have that gold wash that we were talking about on 4K for you that a lot of MGM titles do have. But it's not as bad as the Clint Eastwood ones. But overall, even though it's no HDR, it's pretty good looking scan. There is a lot of the negative missing.
Really?
This is an older film that has been struck many times over. So there's patches that are missing, but what is there? I mean, it's majority of the film is still the negative, but I think even like the most famous shot, like the motorcycle shot, if I remember right, isn't even from the negative. I'd have to go back and watch it again, but there's some pretty important shots. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that shot's gone. Because even though I've never seen the film, there's at least 3 or 4 scenes that are pretty well known.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like, and I do know the one that they used for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is the negative shot. But
Yeah.
let's be real, probably the only reason we got this 4K is because of that movie.
Yeah.
Because they probably had to scan it in 4K so they could do the Leonardo DiCaprio version of it. But no, of course, an all-star cast. You got Steve McQueen, as I just mentioned, James Garner, Richard Attenborough, Charles Bronson's in this. Of course, it's a Sturgis film. Excellent film. Almost like a kind of a weird spiritual sequel to the Magnificent Seven on the reverse of it, and the story is just crazy when you realize how true it is, and the tragedy that actually befell the men who did get out. But like, no, the amount that did actually manage to escape is astounding. But
Yeah.
I don't know if you boys have seen this one before,
I
but I
have.
was
I've
pleasantly
seen the
surprised
bits
by
and
how good it
pieces like
was.
you talked about. I have
Yeah.
not seen the whole movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I still need to see
Okay, well,
Bullet.
the basic outline of the story is that you have, it's supposed to be, well, the original story was British and Australian troops mainly, but they added a
Mhm.
few American troops just for good measure.
Right.
Because there was American troops fighting with the British so far, because this is before the Americans got involved with World War II. And what it's about is one of the greatest escapes ever pulled off by POWs, where close, like I think it's almost 200 men got out. And yeah, so it's loosely based on a true story, but a lot of it is actually accurate. The parts that, like, a lot of the characters are amalgams, and like Steve McQueen and Richard or James Garner's character are clearly, you know, American made.
Of course.
It's getting too dark in here.
Oh, I think Tim forgot to mute.
Yeah, I think you did.
But no, I enjoyed it quite a bit, actually. It was a lot better than I thought it would. And it's long, but it doesn't feel like it because a lot happens.
It's one of those, like, it flows perfect, even for the runtime.
Yes, yeah. Great score, of course. Steve McQueen steals the show. Richard Attenborough's really good in it too. You can see why he became a huge star. Well, I mean, he was pretty big at the time already, but oh yeah, Donald Pleasance is in it too.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, James Coburn as well. Great cast, and actually, Donald Pleasance plays a great character. Not to give away too much, but he actually. Sorry, Tim.
So it's one of those all-star cast movies.
Yeah, like I said, it's almost kind of like a weird spiritual, like Magnificent Seven kind of thing, where you're going to get a bunch of guys together. You can definitely tell this is where they got the idea to do movies like The Dirty Dozen and stuff like that later on. Clearly a big inspiration on those kind of films. But no, not to spoil too much of it, but the Donald Pleasance character, for instance, his thing is like they get everybody together and they like make up the plan. And the whole point is they've got these guys that have all been escaped their prisons like a dozen times over, right?
Right.
So they have the best escapees all in one place.
Let's just put them all together.
That's what their plan was. They're like, these fuckers keep giving us trouble. Let's just put them all in one place.
That
and
way
of course, all the troublemakers are like, guess what? We're all in one place.
They weren't too smart about this.
They weren't very smart about thinking, because now you have all the best of the best of the best in one place. And Donald Pleasance plays I think he's a stenographer or something like that in the actual Corps, but like in this, his job is to make sure they have all their passports and their so they're basically making fake papers, right? Well, throughout the process you realize he's going blind slowly.
Oh man.
Yeah, so it's a really cool kind of thing between him and James Garner. They got their little thing going on, and he's like, because eventually Richard Attenborough's like, I can't let you go.
Right.
He's like, well, what do you mean? He's like, you can't see shit. And he hadn't told anybody. That's the whole thing, is he'd been playing off like he hasn't been going blind slowly. And he even sets up this whole thing where he puts a pin, X amount of steps away from the door, so he knows exactly where to go to pick up that pin. But then, Richard Attenborough catches him in a gotcha kind of moment. But he's like, look, it's nothing personal. It's like, but you could put other men at risk, so I can't let you go. And of course he agrees and understands, but then of course James Garner's like, if he doesn't go, I don't go. Right. Kind of thing. Yeah. And like, so that he's like, I'll make sure I'll take responsibility for him. So there's that bit. And then you've got like, Steve McQueen's just the fucking troublemaker, period.
Yeah.
Like, he's your Mahoney, right?
Yeah, right.
He's the guy that's he's just incessantly a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Just for whatever reason, he's got to be a pain.
He's a lovable
His whole
one, though.
his whole gimmick is he keeps getting in trouble and thrown in isolation for days on end. He always pulls something that he's getting thrown in. So there's great stuff. I don't want to go too deep into it if you haven't seen it, because there's a lot of great stuff for people to
I was actually thinking about picking that one up, because I remember I've not seen The Great Escape.
I think I got it for like 15 from a Kino sale, if I remember right.
That's good, because like you said, I've seen the parts that they always show. I've seen the parts that they always show when they talk about the movie.
You'll be here when I get out, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And the motorcycle shot and all that stuff.
Yeah, and the scene they used in Once Upon a Time, I actually have seen that scene, the real scene.
You'll be here when I get out.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. That's one. Duh. But yeah, I've seen that, but I've never seen the whole movie, so I'll have to pick that up. I didn't realize that it was part of the Kino sale, or else I probably would have.
Yeah, and I don't know
that a while
missing, because I guess Criterion did a version of it a little while back here. I don't know what it's missing for special features, but there is quite a bit on here. You've got tons of featurettes, a couple of different commentaries. So I'd have to actually go look and compare what's missing from the Criterion one, because they like to keep their shit exclusive if they've got stuff usually. So
yeah, they don't like to share.
Steve McQueen didn't necessarily disappear after the Towering Inferno. He died in 1980.
He had got lung cancer bad, I think.
I don't know if it was lung cancer. Some kind of cancer. I can't remember what kind, but yeah.
Yeah, it was him and John Wayne, I think, were two big Hollywood actors that died of cancer.
Yeah. Both in 80, wasn't it, Hayes?
I'm not sure.
I think it was, because I think one of John Wayne's last appearances, I think, was on the 1980 Academy Awards, if I remember right.
But I know one of his sons is an actor, Patrick Wayne.
Oh yeah. So same thing with Steve McQueen. Well, his son doesn't do much anymore, but of course, he was most famously in Karate Kid. But yeah.
But his son Patrick Wayne was in a bunch of B movies.
Yeah, and of course, John Wayne's grandson now is in Mandalorian.
Yes. Steve McQueen died November 7th, 1980.
Yep.
I was looking it up to see.
Yep.
When it happened.
Because he was one of the biggest, and this is kind of why he's in the Tarantino stuff, and he's going to come up more here in a bit. He was one of the biggest stars of the 70s at that time. I mean, The Great Escape, and a couple of the movies that he's most well known for were the 60s, but in the 70s, we'll talk about some of those movies here coming up here.
You know what's funny is that Steve McQueen's grandson is an actor. He's still acting. So
who's his grandkid then?
His grandkid goes by Steve something McQueen.
Oh, so he's a McQueen. Okay.
Yeah, he's actually let me see. He was on one of those CW shows, and then he moved on to another show. So let me think if I can.
He's on the Empire or Vampire Diaries, according.
Yeah, he was on the Vampire Diaries, I believe. I can't remember. Stephen something McQueen, and he uses his stepfather's name and his family in McQueen's name in his name. So, yeah, he was acting for a while. I remember seeing him. He was on one of the Chicago Fire TV shows that they had on NBC. There you go. There's Bullet.
Hold that thought, Tim.
Yeah, there you go. Stephen R. McQueen.
Yeah.
There you go.
So hold that thought, Tim. That might come up here shortly.
Oh, there you go. There.
That one still looks like it's in plastic.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I think I bought this like a couple of years ago, and I just haven't gotten around to watching it. I've got more than enough stuff to watch.
Right. Well, like I said, we'll talk a little bit more about Steve McQueen, but on that note, what do you got first, Tim?
Yes. What do you got for your second pick?
Okay. This is one of those 70s drive-in monster movies.
You're talking my language.
Yeah, it was
always fun.
I think it had a Blu-ray, but then that Blu-ray either got pulled or went out of print really quickly, and then it was in a Blu-ray box set, which was limited edition, but there's a new Blu-ray out, but so far I've watched this old Shriek Show DVD, which is from it's from
yeah.
it's from an HD master.
It actually
Yeah.
just got re-released.
Yes, it
Yeah,
just got a new Blu-ray.
I have the Blu-ray, but it's funny how this gets mixed up with another movie that's sometimes called Dracula versus Frankenstein. The Paul Naschy movie Assignment Terror sometimes gets called Dracula versus Frankenstein. So it gets confused with this movie an awful lot.
Yeah.
But I believe, was it Synapse who just put it out?
Yep, Synapse just put it out on the.
Well, Severin put this out on Blu-ray.
Or Severin, that's what it was.
Yeah,
Thank
there you go,
Tim.
Severin. I always get Synapse and Severin mixed up.
Me too. I
Yeah,
do too. Yeah.
it's easy because Severin films, Synapse films,
And they put out a lot of the same kind of stuff,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
yeah,
so,
like they both put out Barbara Steele movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually I just picked this one up from that.
I actually, I have that on my list. I was waiting for the price to go down a bit. I was going to buy it.
So it's pretty good, huh, Tim?
Yeah, it's a pretty fun movie, but you really don't see Frankenstein. I don't think you see much of Dr. Frankenstein or his monster until almost the end of the movie. So it doesn't really get its title till almost the end of the movie.
Weird.
You see a lot of Dracula, but it's funny. It's like the Paul Naschy Dracula versus Frankenstein, where it kind of starts out at a carnival.
Maybe they tried to remake it a little bit.
Well, I don't know. I don't think they were trying to redo the Paul Naschy one, because the Paul Naschy one had a Dracula, a Frankenstein monster, a mummy, and a Wolfman. This just has
they had all of them.
This one just has the two, but it barely has Frankenstein and just monster in it. But it's about this, like, the singer. She goes looking for her sister, and I think her sister got killed, so she could be used to bring back Dr. Frankenstein's monster to life. And Dracula wants the monster brought back to life to serve him. And I remember this girl, she gets caught by Dracula, and Dracula, I think, starts killing everybody around her. And then it gets to where it's called Dracula versus Frankenstein, which isn't till almost the end of the movie.
I love those old movies like that, because like I love the build up to them. Even though it's like you're waiting for Frankenstein and it's just at the end, you still love that build up to that movie. I love those type of movies.
Yeah, I think you see him you see Dr. Frankenstein and his monster is on the operating table, I think, at the start of the movie, but you don't really see the monster do anything till almost the end. So you see an awful lot of Dracula, but I think this was originally going to have John Carradine playing Dracula, but he wasn't available. So
yeah, I know Lon Chaney Jr.'s in it.
Yeah, he's in it. So
he's like what's his guy that Dracula has?
I think he's just this big bumbling like servant to like Dracula, and
yeah, he's kind of like that guy. What is that guy's called that they have? Igor. He's kind of like Igor.
Yeah, he's more of an Igor type. I don't think he really has any lines.
I think it was his last movie, if I remember correctly.
It probably was. It was one of them.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I plan on picking up that new Blu-ray. That's been on my list for a while.
Yeah, Sandor Vorkov plays Count Dracula, but I think his name's like Raphael Engels or something like that. He wasn't really an actor, but he was a friend of Al Adamson, so he ended up getting to play Dracula in this, and then he played a character in another film right after this called Brain of Blood. And it was Al Adamson's wife, actress Regina Carroll, was in both this movie and Brain of Blood. And I think maybe John Carradine was actually in Brain of Blood. There was some movie around the time that actually had John Carradine in it.
Nice. I know he was in the Monster Club.
But this is, I'm sure the Blu-ray looks great. I haven't watched it yet. I have the Blu-ray that has Brain of Blood as an extra.
Oh, nice.
But this was a really nice.
That's right. It does. It was supposed to come with an extra movie. That's right.
Yeah, this was a really nice transfer. But I don't know if the Blu-ray got the alternate ending. There's an alternate ending on here and a little bit of. I think there's like one other like deleted bit of footage that's on here that I don't know if it's on the Blu-ray.
Right. I have to get the Blu-ray and we'll find out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a good pick. A good pick. I love those monster movies. That's my speed right there. Speaking of like drive-in double features, I'm watching my next pick. It was only one I watched on it, but I've seen both of them. Unfortunately, I missed out on this Blu-ray, and Blu-ray is very, very hard to find. So I have a DVD for you guys because after I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, I wanted to watch Invaders from Mars from Tobe Hooper. So yeah. I don't have the Blu-ray. I wish I did. I wish I would have bought the Blu-rays of both.
Print.
Yeah, I know. I wish I would have bought both of these movies when they first came out, but stupid me, I waited too long, and so I haven't stuck with my DVD.
Yeah, I've got a 4-pack of those. I've got those in a Midnight Movies 4-pack with, I think it's Journey to the Seventh Planet and one other one. I think it's the other one that John Agar was in. It's something like Night of the Living Dead, but it's with space aliens. It's a 50s one.
Yeah. I love the MGM Midnight movies were great. But sadly, yes, I didn't get the Blu-ray of the. Hopefully we'll get a 4K down the line, and then I'll pick up the 4K. And I'm really wanting to pick up the 4K of the original Invaders from Mars. I think there's still some copies left. I need to get on that before that goes out of print.
But I bought the DVD.
There you go. That's
the
awesome.
Blu-ray. This is the Blu-ray.
That's awesome.
But it's annoying. The shrink wrap Blu-ray is like taped onto this thing, so I have to rip this slip just to get it out.
Well, that sucks. That sucks. But yeah, I was watching, like, I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and I wanted to watch, and they were saying that he was editing Invaders from Mars at the same time he was shooting Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And if you really do watch that movie, there's a lot of similarities to them, especially within the tunnels. When the kids going through the tunnels with the aliens and stuff, it's very similar to the home of the Sawyers in Texas Chainsaw 2. Look at this. Now he's ready to join the show after he talked to all of his friends about Scream. Now he's ready to join in on the show. Well, I'll send you the link. Hold on. No, give me a minute.
Hello, Runner.
Yes. We found out your replacement anyways, Runner.
Hi, Runner.
But yeah, I just had seen the remake of Invaders from Mars in a long time, and it's just a fun cheesy campy remake. It's got that 80s vibe to it, but it's also got the 50s feel, and it's different enough from the original movie that I enjoyed it. So I've been wanting to get the original so I can compare and contrast here in a while. And I really wish I would have bought the Blu-ray when it came out, but that was my fault. Sometimes I do tend to wait too long when movies come out, and I end up regretting it because sometimes I see so many things I want to buy, and I'm like, I'll hold off on this one while I get this one, and then I end up missing out. But yeah, if you've not seen the remake of Invaders from Mars, I think it's a good one. I think it's a good, fun, campy sci-fi B horror movie. I think Tobe Hooper does great. His aliens are a bit weird. They're more alien, I would say. They almost remind me of like the war monsters, the aliens, especially when they eat the teacher. But it's a fun, good time, and if you have not seen it, go ahead and see it. The original kid actually plays a cop, and he plays the chief of police in the remake. So
yeah, and Karen Black's in the remake, and then Nurse Ratched from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yep.
Yeah.
Louise Fletcher is in
No,
it.
I love that movie even as a kid. And that movie
Yeah.
pissed Golan and Globus off horribly.
I
Why did
know.
it piss them off?
Yeah.
Why did it piss them
Yeah.
off?
Because if I remember right, Toby Hooper spent way too much money on it.
Yeah. They actually talked about that on the Texas. So that's why one of the reasons I went back to. They said he went like 28 days over filming, and he was spending money. And then they said some guy from the company would show up on set of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, walk up to the script, the woman that was keeping the script, tear out just a handful of pages, throw it, and say, "There you go, get back on track," because they were having so much trouble with him on Invaders from Mars, and then it flopped so bad when it came out too. So. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. I like you, Tom. I think it's a fun movie. What's up, Runner? How are you tonight?
A little exhausted from my last stream, but it was fun. It was fun. I had a lot of fun for the most part. It was
Was
good.
it fun?
It was good discussion. It was better than the movie itself. But no, what did I miss? Good to meet you, Tim.
Yeah. Hi, Runner.
I pulled my penis out and I pissed all over the desk.
Oh.
If I'd done it on camera, we'd have been famous.
Are you talking about what's his name? That guest on
FNC,
Friday Night Tights, Tom.
Yeah.
I missed that.
I
turned it on late.
That guy.
Yeah.
I've missed a lot of FNT since I've been gender swapped. But anyway,
I'm on my laptop because my internet sucks ass. So that's why my mic sounds weird.
Okay. We was just talking Invaders from Mars, the remake, which I guarantee you've never seen.
You know, of all the shit in that movie that weirded me out the most?
What?
Of all the crazy shit that's in that movie, it was the scene where the mom's eating the raw hamburger.
Oh, right. That is
that
creepy.
Freaks me out
I
as a
agree
kid.
with you. Go ahead, Tim.
I think that happens in Rosemary's Baby, where she cooks like some raw meat on the stove. She just barely cooks it and then starts eating it.
And then, like, the weird thing is my uncle used to do that shit all the time just to freak me out.
They would like pretend to eat it.
No, he would actually eat.
Oh, he'd actually eat raw hamburger.
Yeah, well, because it ain't gonna hurt you. It's just
it's not.
Just like, what do you call it?
I mean,
tartare
steak
shit
tartare. That's what
exactly.
I was about to say.
Like, so he'd sit there and do that because he's like, because I remember saying something about it. He's like this, and I'm like, no, Uncle Daryl is one of those fucking aliens.
Let me see the back of your neck.
Yeah.
But it's got to, even for to only be PG, I think it is. Is it PG?
Yeah, it's only PG. It's Toby Hooper's only other PG rated film.
For it to be PG, it is really creepy and it's like really disturbing and it's very sad with the kid and his mom and dad and you really feel for it. And Linda Black is actually his mom, his real mom in real life.
Yeah,
so,
the one that plays the
one that plays the nurse.
The nurse, yeah. I mean, there's some weird shit in it, but for what it is, it was a pretty good remake at the time.
Yeah, I didn't think it was bad. And now I'm ready to watch the original to try to compare and contrast a little more. But yeah, you're right. That the whole scene when they're eating the burnt bacon and the raw hamburger and all that is just it's unnerving. And being the kid, watching the kid just like, Mom?
Yeah, no,
Dad?
The alien things didn't bother me. Some of the other shit, none of it bothered me. All of a sudden, I saw that crap, and I'm just like, that is weird.
That is so much more scary. Because, like I said, the little Martians remind me of like the gore creatures that just eat people on stage, which looks really foamy stuff, which isn't bad, but like you said, much more scarier when it's just like the invasion of the body snatcher type thing with the parents out of body type stuff. But and like I said,
especially
if you watch
as a kid, almost being that same age, because you got to remember that came out in 86, 87, whatever. And I saw that as a kid because it was a PG rated film. My parents didn't.
Yeah, 86.
I mean, they let me watch just about anything anyway. So like,
but it is creepy, and I'm telling you, if you go back and you watch him running through the tunnels of the ship, it's very similar to the Sawyer house in Texas Chainsaw 2 with the tunnels and everything.
I have that on Blu-ray, by the way. That's been one of my standby titles for a while that I've never been on. But yeah.
I wish I would have known, because then maybe we could have,
I
watched.
didn't realize it was going to be the one you brought on. I could have.
I did. I wasn't planning on watching it because like I said, I didn't get the Blu-ray. But after watching Texas Chainsaw 2, I really wanted to watch that again.
I want
and
the other movie
fun.
that's on there though. That's the
Oh yes, Space Invaders.
Speaking of Paul LeMat,
or Strange Invaders, Paul LeMat. That is a great flick. I watched that one too.
Yeah,
it is
Twilight
really,
Time
really
put
good.
that out. It looks like.
Yeah, and that's OP as well. So, but
At
that is
least it's not as much as the other one. You look. I'm glad I bought.
Yeah, go
Invader
ahead.
from Mars when I did, because I think I got it for like $60. That fucker's going for almost $200 now.
Right? I'm like, please give me a 4K so I can, like they did with the.
I am
Living Dead.
surprised Vinegar Syndrome has not done a 4K scan. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if that's not in the.
Please, I need to get a good copy. Not that this isn't a bad, but it's DVD. I need a better copy.
I've had it long enough. I won't care. Like I said, I only spent like $60
Right,
I think,
right.
or whatever it was. But
yeah,
I've got a lot of films in the most expensive one I ever bought. I showed here, and that was that.
Yeah,
of
Dawn of the Dead.
the American Werewolf.
American Werewolf. Yes, sorry, American Werewolf.
It cost me like almost $300 fucking bucks. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's. I wish I hadn't to a point, but then at the same time, it's kind of cool. Some of the stuff that's in it is kind of neat. So.
Right.
But,
yeah.
Just for like the slaughtered lamb. I don't like coasters. I hate coasters. I think they're the dumbest fucking thing ever. But those are one of the few coasters in my collection now that I'm like, those belong because they're from the slaughtered lamb. It's a bar.
Right.
So like it actually makes sense. You
know? That's true.
I would never use them, but yeah.
Yeah,
I have an R2D2 coaster right here.
Yeah, that deserves to die.
Yeah. Kill it with fire.
Considering how the franchise is now, I don't blame you.
He says like beep boop boop, which is translated to kill me now. Put me out of my misery.
Do it now, please. Yeah, but Strange Invaders, if you guys have never seen that, see that one too. That's good. Paul LeMat and what's her name from RoboCop is in it too. She's really good in it.
That's right.
Nancy Allen.
Nancy Allen, yeah.
Yeah, I have not
seen that movie since I was a kid, man. You reminded me of that movie.
Oh man, it's fun. It's when that dude rips off his face and the aliens underneath of it.
Yes,
and that's another like PG movie.
Stuff like that one kind of mixed up with V all the time as a kid.
Yes,
I remember.
Yes, it's very similar to the V with the lizard the people. Very similar, but it's a fun little movie. It's it takes place in the 50s, and this town is basically frozen in the 50s because they're taken over by aliens. And then Paul LeMat and his daughter, I believe, and Nancy Allen go to that town trying to figure out what's going on because his ex-wife went missing, and she was one of them. So yeah. Something like that. I watched it a little while ago. I didn't watch it when I watched that, but I watched it a little while ago. But it's a fun movie, and I'm glad to have that double feature, but I really want the Blu-rays of each. At least I could afford Strange Invaders Blu-ray. I can't afford the Invaders from Mars Blu-ray.
Yeah, now I'm going to have to get that Strange Invader one when I get some money.
Yeah.
You reminded me. I totally forgot about that movie because I always used to get it mixed up with V.
Yeah, it's very similar. It's very similar in that fashion. But yeah, Runner, do you got any picks at all tonight? Because
I got 3.
Me and Tom had 3.
Right, we've already done 2.
Yeah, we've done 2, and Tim's done 2. So,
so
go ahead and show 2 Runner, and then we'll go back to you, Tim.
Okay.
So the first one I got
Runner.
I laugh at him every time too, Tim.
Well, it's what he put it in the private chat. It's what he put it in the private chat.
Well, it's a comment to my chat. Yeah.
I know.
I said, how many picks you got, Runner, besides boogers from your runny nose?
And I answered 3 titles and no
3
boogers.
3 boogers, he said.
3 boogers.
I said no boogers. I said 3 titles and no.
About tree pity.
Tree fitty.
No tree fitty. Fuck you and your tree fitty. All right, my first pick. We've talked about this movie multiple times, but I managed to get the steelbook. I've wanted the steelbook for so long. I've even thought about getting.
Are we gonna have to talk about Scream again?
Yeah, that's what he's bringing up.
Sorry. I'm happy I got this steelbook because I was so jealous when you guys got the steelbook, and I
I'm jealous of that. I don't have the second steelbook, which I really need.
It's the same. It's the same exact fucking thing, just with a Blu-ray.
Oh, I hit the wrong button. Sorry, Tom, I hit the wrong button.
Oh, sure you did.
No, I did.
No, I'm just so tired of Scream right now.
I know.
No, I understand. We don't have to talk about Scream 6 if you don't want to.
No, we don't.
That was
actually
kinda,
that's
that
a
was,
better idea since we've talked about Scream so many times. Why don't you tell us what you thought of Scream 6 instead?
Okay.
Okay, so
yeah, so we talked about Scream enough. We love the first few movies, at least first 4, I would think. You guys already know how we feel about 5. We don't need to talk about that. And I watched Scream 6 last night because I was curious. And I didn't spend a whole lot of money to get a ticket, so I was fine with it. But
You didn't see.
no, it was one of those $5 like Tuesday matinee things, and Fandango gave me a $5 gift card. Not all I paid for was the tax, and that's it. So I wasn't too.
Those cheap
off.
fuckers made you pay the tax on it too.
Yeah, because
they shouldn't have, unless that's the way coupons work in your state. Because in most states, coupons you don't have to pay tax on.
Yeah. No, that's how it works in the website.
I suppose maybe it depends on what kind of voucher it was. I suppose
probably. I have no fucking idea. I was just I just got an email saying, "Hey, you have a $5 coupon from Fandango." And I'm like, "Oh, cool! I can use it to see Scream 6 and not have to pay money for it. Yay!" Because I was just I went in with low expectations. I was curious to see how it is. I already told Tom and Greg this in the private chat, but it is better than 5, but not by a lot. It's got problems in it.
Which is funny that you say that, because I've actually been hearing people that liked 5 did not like 6. They're saying
which is hilarious.
Bad, which is like it's funny. So
it's funny. I'm like literally like, because one of my problems with 6 are the problems I have with 5. like oh my god, anytime Billy Loomis shows up in a reflection, I'm just like, oh my fucking god, like just fucking end me right now. Like this is horrible.
Yeah.
So that shit is still in there with that god awful plastic surgery looking CGI. And he's still the fucking hero type. It's fucking terrible.
That's Billy Loomis as freaking Obi-Wan Kenobi just makes no sense.
It doesn't. And I tried to talk to, was it Justin and Rookie disagreed with me on that for some reason, and I had to tell him why it didn't make sense.
The guy literally killed his girlfriend's mom, all of his best friends, and now he's a hero. Now he's telling his daughter how to live.
Is he actually back in this stupid movie?
Yes.
How can people say this is good? I don't understand this. Let's take all the other bullshit away, right? Let's take away the fact that they shit on all the fans in the last movie, shit on all the sequels in the last movie, shit on the original if you think about it in the last movie.
Yeah.
Let's just take all that shit away. Just the simple fact that Billy Loomis, the ghost of Billy Loomis, is in these fucking movies should be more than enough for people to say, fuck this shit, I'm out.
Exactly.
This is the dumbest crap I've ever heard in my fucking life. How did he have an illegitimate child when he was so fucking obsessed with Neve Campbell's character?
That's what I think they really truly miss.
Literally to the point where he set this whole thing up for her.
Yeah.
He literally kept telling Justin and Rookie that, and they just didn't buy it.
Look, guys are assholes. They will fuck almost anything that moves, but somebody who's obsessed with Sydney as much as he fucking was.
Exactly.
I do not buy him fucking anybody else, and I do not buy into this idea of him somehow miraculously being a hero through this franchise.
Exactly.
Through being a ghost. It is so fucking redonkulous.
Wes Craven even said in the Scream commentary for the first movie, he's like, the whole intent of Billy Loomis is that he's a fucking virgin. Like
He's
literally
a fucking psycho, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, he was He was so in love with Sydney, and then when he found out what his mom or his dad was doing with her mom, he became so obsessed with just destroying her life. And making her sleep with him that there was no way he would sleep with anybody else until he achieved that goal.
Yeah, it just makes no sense, and I kept telling
because it wasn't about the sex for him, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
No, it was about the power and
the power and the conqueror.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was trying to tell my panelists about my problem with the whole Billy Loomis as a ghost thing, and they just for some reason didn't agree with me. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, this is stupid shit. And I kept telling him like because Justin Proper, I like the dude. He's a good friend of mine, but I kept telling him like he keeps making the point like, oh well, Billy Loomis could have creamed someone else's panties. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. He was so fucking obsessed with Sydney. There's no way.
Even if he did, why would everybody know?
Exactly.
Like, first of all, by the time this kid would have been born, the daddy would have been Billy Loomis, serial killer.
Yeah.
Do you think the mother would have wanted any fucking buddy to know who the daddy was?
Exactly.
Yes.
And not only that, I mean, every fucking buddy knows. Sydney walks in, and the first thing she fucking says to her is something along those lines. It's like, how the fuck did you know?
Yeah,
how the fuck does everybody fucking know but her? She's the only one who seems to know in this whole scenario that is completely unaware of who her father is or whatever it was. And not only that, or whatever it was, I don't even remember because it's been a while since I watched her. Did she know already? Either way,
she knew. That's why her
she knew. That's right. Yeah, I was trying to remember. Yeah, but anyway, this whole she was hiding the fact that she was talking to her dad. That's what. It was.
Yeah.
Because she's fucking nuts, just like her old man.
Exactly.
It is even worse in this one. The more I think about it, she's just as crazy whenever.
Well, and this is the problem with it. And this is why I say this movie is woke, and people are like, no, it's not. I'm like, yes, it fucking is. Because you know why? Because it's these sadistic freaks that are out there trying to fucking justify their bullshit shenanigans by saying, oh, we related more to Billy Loomis than we did Sidney Prescott. That's a problem.
That is a problem.
That is a fucking problem. Don't you see?
Rate it up. Rate.
That's what I'm gathering from this shit. It's like, if you think that he is a character that should be revered in any fucking way, you've got bigger problems than anybody I know. Because Billy Loomis is the lowest loser psycho there is. Right?
Yes,
even Sydney says that shit in the second movie to piss his mom off.
Yeah.
Right. And literally in Scream 6, it's, speaking of Scream 2, Scream 6 is Scream 2, just not as
That's
good.
what I've heard. I've heard that Scream 6 is actually
it literally
Scream 2.
It uses the same exact template. They're in the new kids that I don't give a fuck about are in college. There's even, you remember that scene, that one iconic scene in the second movie where Randy's on the phone call looking around outside campus? There's literally a scene exactly like that. It's just forgettable though. That's the thing. I remember it because they completely ripped it off. And the killer reveal is literally ripped out right out of Scream 2. When it comes to the whole family connection and shit.
It's just, I don't think I'll watch it.
It was just obvious shit.
When it comes on digital.
Okay, I will say one good thing about Scream 6. Oh my god. The very beginning was actually kind of neat. I'm gonna be honest with you. The very beginning.
How the fuck is Kirby still alive?
They don't go into it very well.
I heard that she says she was legally dead for like 4 minutes and they revived her or something.
No, that's not what happened. All they did was she just showed them her wound, and that's freaking it. Like, that's like they didn't.
Are you sure? Because I talked to Michelle from Force of Light, and she said they bring that up in the movie, that she said she was dead for 4 minutes and then they revived her or whatever.
I went back and I tried to find that Wes Craven comment that everybody's going by. From the way I took it, from the context, he was basically saying, if you want to believe she's alive, she's still alive.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I'm pretty sure they weren't planning on making any more.
Yeah. I think he was pretty much done on that because they
The
changed the
fourth
ending to
film
begin
put a
with.
pretty good cap on everything. Don't fuck with the original. End of story.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you know the whole thing is you know what the new sort of message is with Scream 6, right? It's, oh, we're in a franchise now. I'm like, can you get any more lazy?
That's what they said in the second film. Yeah, everything you guys are telling me sounds like shit the second film did better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's be real. I understand that people don't like the third film, and in fact, the only sequel that's obligatory to Scream is Scream 2. Right? And Scream 2 only should exist because, yes, what are horror films known about more so than the rules that they give away in the first film? Sequels. So of course you have to do the obligatory sequel, and I think it was handled perfectly. And I don't mind the third film, but again, I said take that one aside because I know a lot of people don't. Outside of those first two movies, there's really nothing more to be told about the film. I do like the backstory they get into with you know, Sydney's mom and all that kind of stuff, and the whole setup with you know, having an illegitimate brother and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was neat because it does support the third killer theory that a lot of us had for years about the first film. But after that, part 4, I didn't care one way or the other about until this new film come out, and I'm like, 4 is infinitely better now.
Yeah.
Like,
oh god,
it is so much better than any of the new crap, and I don't even want to see Scream 6. I'm totally checked out of this shit now.
You're probably gonna feel the same way that I feel, but even worse because of how, like, I'm gonna be like, considering how much you hate Scream 5 like me and Greg, it's not gonna make you like 6 because of the shit that's carried over.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
like
Tom
Billy
and I,
Loomis and, you know, Dewey's death and all that. Like it's all still.
Yeah, I didn't even get to that in my rant.
No, I know, but okay. Another thing I want to point out in Scream 6 is I don't understand the love that Sam Carpenter has as a character. She is a complete dumbass in the very beginning of the 6th movie, and I'm going to explain why. And I know none of you give a shit, but you guys need to know this. So in the beginning, she's with a psychologist, like talking to her about kind of her story and her trauma and all that. She even tells him that, you know, she killed Jack Quaid's character, and then he's gonna like report to the authorities. She just like runs out because she knows she's gonna get in trouble. She finds out that Jenna Ortega's at this party and this dude wants to hang out with her upstairs.
Sure, just hang out with Jenna Ortega.
I know, right? And then Sam out of nowhere just shows up and tases his balls. and then takes Jenna Ortega, and they have this whole thing about wanting to protect her and all that. And, you know, at first I was like, okay, you know, you want to protect your sister. That's cool. You want to make sure you guys are safe. I don't have too much of a problem with that, right? But then all of a sudden, there's this whole twist where there's this dude next door who they're like, oh my God, this guy's so hot and all that. You guys have been looking at each other for so long. Come to find out, he shows up to her like bottom like floor apartment or whatever, and then you see them make out because they're secretly dating. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, you're such a hypocrite. Like you're on this fucking thing about wanting to be safe and all this bullshit. It's like, and you're secretly dating someone who could possibly be a killer. I don't understand.
It's stupid. I don't get it myself. People like
that character, and I don't understand why.
I don't get it. And the fact that they see nothing wrong with her being Billy Loomis's daughter and Billy Loomis's ghost there, but they give shit to Roman being Sydney's brother. I say screw that shit because that makes sense. I don't care if people don't like 3. I like 3, and I think it comes full circle because Halloween was.
It makes a hell of a lot more sense than Billy Loomis's daughter.
A hell of a lot sense. And Halloween, it was Kevin Williamson's favorite movie, and of course, even though he didn't write the third movie, he wrote the outline, and it was clearly it hit every horror trope that it needed to hit, like Pamela Voorhees and Psycho with Billy's mom, and then Sydney's brother. It worked. It's fine. 5 just blew it out of the water, and I have no interest in 6. But with all that being said, because I know we talked to Scream a lot here, and we got some more picks to get to, show us another one of your picks, and then we'll get back to you, Tim.
Oh, me?
And yeah.
Okay. I'll show you one more pick. I'm gonna go in another stream in a second, but I have 3 picks, so I'll show my last one later after you guys are done with your round.
Okay.
There is a movie I do recommend you watch rather than Scream 6, and it is a prequel. It's a decent prequel. It's not as good as the first movie, but Pearl.
Oh yeah, I've been meaning to watch them. I've heard. Are those real good movies? X and Pearl. Are they good?
Yeah.
Are those good?
X is fantastic.
I've heard X is. Speaking of what I've been onto, I don't mean to keep bringing it up, but I've heard X is basically Texas Chainsaw Massacre esque. So that's why I've been wanting to see this.
It is. It's Texas Chainsaw, like basically that, and you're making an adult film.
Yeah, I know they're making. I've been meaning to watch both of those because I've heard they're really good.
X is great. Pearl is good. It's just not as good as X.
Okay.
A little slower paced at times. I feel like Pearl is, but yeah, Pearl's good. It's decent. It's a decent horror film. It's probably the best 2 horror films that A24 has made, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not a huge A24 fan. I mean, I did like The Lighthouse, but
that's because of the whole elevated horror type shit. But
yeah, I don't like elevated horror.
But this isn't elevated horror. This is like real.
No, I've heard they're like old school, like sort of slashery.
Yeah.
Pearl's supposed to be more of a musical type thing, though.
Kind of. Well, the reason people are saying that is because it's not really a musical at all. The more I think about it, is because Pearl, I think, was it yeah, X is great. I love X, but it does a good job kind of getting in her backstory of how she's turned into this fucking psycho thing because her mom's like insane and all that.
You really should stop doing X though, Runner. You're a young man. I don't want to see you going down that road.
And the X and them glow sticks, man. You've got to stop.
But she wants to be a dancer. It's not a musical.
We know you like dancing, but the X is not good for you, Runner.
Oh my god. But her character is like, she wants to be a dancer and she goes to like these tryouts and she doesn't make it and she's like all upset and then she goes into this killing spree later on.
I need to check that out, especially before I do think FanZcene comes out sometime this year, and I heard Kevin Bacon's going to be in that one. So
I think I did hear about that, but yeah, and Jenna Ortega's in X.
I know she's in. I know she's in.
And she's great in that.
She can't be in everything, people. She can't be in the news and day. You can't give her Beetlejuice and everything just because she had a couple hits.
Yeah, I mean, I do think she's a decent actress. I liked her in X. I thought she was quite good in that. But Mia Goth, I can definitely see why people like. I can understand why she's getting a following because she's damn good. She's a damn good actress.
Those are on my list. I'm definitely going to check them out.
She's a good, like, young, up and coming actress, I'd say.
Yeah. All right, that sounds good. Sounds good.
So yeah, Pearl, it's good. Watch X first if you haven't. X was
I would watch X first.
X was fantastic. Greg will definitely like X, considering all the sex that it has and stuff. So.
Is that what you think of me, Runner? I only watch movies for the sex.
You this is what you talk about a lot on your channel. Boobs, 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 boobs.
It works, doesn't it?
There's going to be more boobs coming up, so.
Exactly.
Well, what do you got, Tim? What do you got? Yeah, actually, there will be with my final pick. But what do you got, Tim?
Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, Russ Meyer film.
Written by Roger Ebert.
Yeah,
it's not a sequel.
Yeah, but it parodies Valley of the Dolls. It's like in Valley of the Dolls, it's 3 white actresses. They're trying to get big in Hollywood that are doing drugs, but in this, it's a female rock trio that's trying to get famous. Except one of them's black in this, and one of them has a rich aunt, and she's in the rich aunt's will. So,
Nice.
so they go to all these parties, and they meet this creepy guy called the Z-Man who's trying to get them famous, but he's a real weirdo. This movie, it's 109 minutes, so it's a little bit shy of 2 hours, but still it's pretty long. But I have the Blu-ray as well, but the DVD's just as good. I've heard every DVD of it looks good, and it's full extras.
Nice.
But there's a lot of boobs, and there's a lot of female ass in this, and there's some drug use, there's sex, there's an abortion, but you really don't see the abortion happen. You just see it lead up to it, and then afterwards, you don't really see anything happening.
And this was written by Roger Ebert.
Yeah, and there's one of those little surprise twists in it that you have to see it from beginning to end. And it gets, well, let's just say it turns into a Charles Manson family style massacre towards the end of the movie.
Well, that's a lot to unpack with that movie.
And there's a lot of women in this. There's an awful lot of women. There's a lot of weirdos.
It's right up Runner's alley.
There's
I was gonna
gay
say,
men,
I'm
there's
writing that
lesbians
right now.
There's heterosexual men. There's just all kinds of weird people in this.
Sounds like a crazy movie.
And it was rated X when it was originally released, but they obscure any genitalia, but there's almost full frontal nudity, but they obscure any shots of the genitalia, so it got an X rating when it was first released. Now it's considered NC-17, but it's tame. There's drug use, there's sex, there's violence. And somebody literally loses their head, so that's probably about the most violent bit of it, aside from some people getting shot.
Is that a Blu-ray or DVD?
This is just the DVD. I've got the Blu-ray in my room.
Oh, okay. I was just curious.
Yeah, I have the Blu-ray in my bedroom.
Oh, cool.
Nice. Cool, Tim. Bringing out the weird ones tonight, huh?
And there's like some rock and roll and folk rock songs on the soundtrack, but it's just one singer dubbing all three of these girls in this rock band. McDonald Carey's, I think, daughter, the guy from Days of Our Lives who did the voiceover and acted in it, I think it was Michelle Carey was her name, but she dubbed all three of these actresses singing for this movie.
Nice. Good pick there, Tim. Tom, are you ready for your next one? I think we lost Tom.
Sure.
There is.
I can do that.
Good for your final pick.
We're going to get into some Steve McQueen here. We got 3 movies. We've got Cincinnati Kid, we've got The Getaway, and Bullet. Now I watched them in the order they were released. Cincinnati Kid first, which is probably the smallest of all the films, of course. Edward G. Robinson and Margaret is Carl Malden are in it. It's basically about a kid who can't seem to lose when it comes to gambling, going up against his greatest adversary that he's never met before, but they both are well aware of each other. Played by Edward G. Robinson, and pretty decent flick. And again, the reason why I got into this whole thing was Tarantino's book, Cinema Speculation. He has 2 chapters dedicated to Bullet and The Getaway. So those were mainly the reason I watched them. And as was shown earlier by Tim, it did have its own separate Blu-ray release, but this is the same Blu-ray, just packaged with the 3 films together. So I thought it was a pretty good value.
Yeah.
So it's 3
especially-
Blu-rays in there?
Yep.
Okay.
3.
Well, that's good that you didn't get... Well, they're
Yeah, they didn't
stacked?
combine 'em.
Okay.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they didn't
good that they
combine 'em or
didn't put
anything.
all 3 of them on one Blu-ray.
And usually I do separate these at some point. I'll make my own cases for them, but I just hadn't got around to this one. And believe it or not, the only one on here that I'd ever seen before this was Bullet, because I had the DVD that was released like 25 years ago. That was the first time I'd ever actually got to see the film, because even though it was a popular film of his, it wasn't one that was the most easiest to come by on VHS. So it wasn't until the DVD came out that I got to see it, and I enjoy it quite a bit. Excellent film. A nice kind of bit of a mystery. I guess I wouldn't say it's total mystery, but it's mostly well known for its chase scenes, of course. But this one also has a really great documentary on this one about Steve McQueen. So just for the special features alone, that one's a great one. But it definitely needs a new transfer.
I'm really surprised we haven't got a 4K Bullet yet.
I
Really,
can't
really
believe
surprised.
this is not one of the ones that Warner's hasn't got in its 100.
Yeah,
4K set,
yeah,
to be honest
especially
with
for
you.
this year.
This one at least, maybe not the Getaway, but definitely Bullet. And
Right.
Getaway is a good film, but as Tarantino gets into in his book, how different the movie is from the book, and because he gets into it, because this actually, he talks about why he thinks the 70s is a better film era than the 80s, and he actually gets into some stuff about how even then the studios wouldn't even go to the dark recesses that some of these stories would go to, even when they were a little bit more open-minded in the 70s than they were.
Right.
Whoops, I meant to do this one. Than they were in the previous years on other things. And no, I mean, I actually liked all 3 films. I thought they were all really well done. Probably the best of the bunch is Bullet, I guess. But I ended up liking The Getaway a lot more than I thought I would, considering knowing what it's about. And yes, The Getaway has been remade. And there's Bullet on its own.
Yeah.
This is Tim showing there.
Getaway. Which one was that?
That's
Is
with Kim Basinger and Alec Baldwin, famously.
I
enough, and
thought
James
that.
Woods.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was thinking about that. Yeah. Okay.
And
Okay.
that is the same. That is, as far as I know, I think that's a remake of the movie, not so much a remake of the book.
Okay.
Or a readaptation, I should say. Because
That's
yeah,
what-
the end of the book is way different than the movie. The movie kind of leaves it ambiguous about them getting away.
Mhm.
In the book, there's a whole nother set of chapters that is left out, where they get to the El Rey hotel in Mexico, which is this famous place where all the bandits end up, and they basically end up broke, starved, and trying to figure out how to kill each other.
I gotta get
So
that
it kind
pack
of
you got
defeats
there.
the purpose of the entire story, because as the movie is now, it's a much probably better version of the story in certain respects.
They knew where to end it.
Well, it's because it's about more of their love story, right? Like that's kind of
Right.
what is at the heart of it. And I suggest getting Tarantino's book if you haven't yet. He really
Yeah,
dives
I
deep
want to
into
pick
it.
that
I
up.
started-
do wanna pick that
I
up.
started reading it, and I did read the Bullet chapter 1, the Steve McQueen movie, and I was like half asleep because I hadn't seen the movie, so I didn't have like a real connection. So I was like to myself, like, I should watch some of these movies he talks about before I start
Yeah.
reading more of the other book, because like the other movies he talks about, the only one I think I've seen out of the other chapters was Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver,
Mhm.
because
Yeah, I
he
mean,
talks
he-
about that, but not till like later.
Luckily, I have a lot of these movies. I just have to either rewatch them or I've watched, or see them for the first time. So,
But
Yeah.
so it was my first time seeing The Getaway, but I had seen Bullet before. So yeah, and I don't think I'd seen The Cincinnati Kid, although that one didn't seem like. I swear I've seen a lot of scenes from it before.
I've heard of it. I don't think I've seen any, but Bullet is like the only one I think I've seen. But
You
I've heard of
know-
the Cincinnati Kid.
For The Cincinnati Kid really just being about people playing poker, it's a really engaging film.
Right.
So, yeah.
Bullet.
And this was probably one of the cheapest Blu-rays I ever bought.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I got this for a pretty good steal too. I can't even remember what I paid for it.
I may have to pick up that 3 set you got there, Tom.
Yeah, it was worth it though. I know that.
Yeah.
I mean, again, all 3 of these movies could definitely use a new rescan.
Yeah, like you said, I'm really surprised that Bullet is not on the 100-year 4K.
Yeah.
That's like the most popular movie he made, I
Pretty
believe.
much, aside from basically The Getaway, yeah, arguably.
Yeah,
Because Le Mans failed at the time in theaters, but it was one of his more popular films later on. But no, in his this is kind of known as his trilogy right here, as far as his
yeah, that
um,
okay.
three best films or whatever you want to call it.
Nice. I wish I would have seen more Steve McQueen so I could talk a little bit about it, because I do like Steve McQueen. Other than, I see, like you said, I've seen The Blob, I've seen Bullet, and that's really about it. And I've seen bits and pieces of The Great Escape.
Yeah, as Brian puts out there, actually, Steve McQueen was meant to be in a lot of films.
Yeah, there's
A
Apocalypse
lot of
Now and
films.
all of them, and yeah.
But he didn't like to read scripts. He did not like to read scripts. In fact, he was, as far as I know, the first, and this is in more common practice now, but he was the first actor that I know of that would charge $1 million just to make you read a script. I didn't even say he was going to take the movie.
Wow, he just charged you $1 million
You got to
just so
think
you
about
read
that.
your
Back then,
script.
that's $1 million.
That's
Like
a lot of
now,
money. Yeah,
Crazy.
that's like $3, $4, $5 million exactly.
yeah. He
'Cause
was making bank.
he did not like to read scripts. He did not like to. He was
Tarantino went over that in this book.
Yeah, he's very much what he would consider one of the last true movie, and he considered himself a movie star.
Yeah,
And his wife basically helped make his career because she knew what he could do, what he worked best in. She let Steve took care of his image as far as like what he was wearing and all that kind of business.
yeah.
And Bullet is a very interesting story in and of itself. As far as how it got made, because he did not want to make Bullet at all. He was dead against it, did not want to do it. He was also really getting into the hippie scene. So for him to play a cop was a huge taboo. It would be like, somebody who's in like the BLM Antifa movement right now deciding, I'm going to play a cop. Thomas Crown Affair is another great one. And that is actually the one that I'm sending back.
Oh,
Because I have the old MGM Fox release, which I can imagine is just an up convert from a 720p scan for the old DVD. And I just bought it, not too long ago as I was going through the book in preparation, because that's another one he talks about a little bit.
Well, Kino did a Blu-ray.
I found that
Thomas
out, Tim.
Crown.
And I'm like, son of a bitch. So I reordered that one, and I'm sending the other one back. Yeah.
so
Yeah, I saw some pictures of the Kino one. It looked like they could have done a lot more with fixing up the picture. It looked.
Sadly, they only get whatever MGM gives them, or whoever's in charge of the scan, usually, unless they put the money out to do it themselves. And that's what I've learned from these boutique companies.
Well, it seems like whenever they get something from Paramount, they'll do a decent job at.
Even there's Paramount touch and go, but yeah.
Yeah, I think Paramount will actually restore something that's never been out if they give it to somebody like Kino.
Yes, my understanding is 9 times out of 10, these are whatever they get from the company handing it to them. Once in a great while, you'll have companies like Vinegar Syndrome or Shout Factory that'll actually go out of their way and do the actual scan. In fact, one of the individuals I talked to about this, who actually works for a boutique company, was talking to me about how this shit works. And they were like looking at one of the projects they were doing, and they're like, oh God, we were freaking out because we were thinking we're going to have to come up with I think it was like $50,000 to do the 4K scan of a film. I can't say which right now. We will talk about it at a later date.
Nice.
But luckily for them, the studio got involved and they decided to do it. So they're like, oh, thank God. Because otherwise they were like, that was just an ungodly amount for them to have to put into this. And there's also situations where they were like, just to do, because they couldn't find, they got lucky and actually came across it later on. But for the same movie I'm talking about, they couldn't find one of the, they couldn't locate one of the translations for another country. Can't remember which country it was. I think it was Germany or something like that. And it was very important to the disc, because that's kind of a hint at where this may have come out of. So it wasn't something they could just overlook. So yeah, we were looking at having to produce our own new audio track for the language, and it was going to cost quite a bit. You're talking in the multi-$1,000, like $12 to $15,000 range just to do that. You know, to hire all
That's
the
a lot.
actors and do
That
all
is
that
a lot,
shit.
you know.
Yeah, so like these things are not cheap. So when Robert tells us about how much they cost, it is, you know, so that's why Kino, and the only reason I give Kino the passes, Tim, that I don't give to Shout Factory is that Kino don't charge the ungodly amounts of money that Shout Factory does.
Yeah, well, Kino, I think has become like
Yeah.
healthy competition for them.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
I don't
they'll
mind so
push
much
their
then. Yeah.
they'll push their prices down, and they'll on a lot of them they'll give you an option of buying either a DVD or a Blu-ray or buying both.
Or in the case of
separate.
the 4Ks, even though like you said, like, you know, with the Thomas Crown Affair, it's not a 4K yet. I'm sure they will release a 4K, but for now it's worth it for me to spend the, you know, $14-15 on their 4K scan of it than it is to keep the $7 one I just bought that's an old MGM scan. To me, it's
Right.
worth it because I'd rather see it in that quality. Plus, it has special features.
And then Kino has all these sales where you can get a bunch of stuff cheap.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I
great
would have
sales.
waited, but I want to watch it now because I'm deep in the book and I've never
Yeah.
seen the Thomas Crown Affair. I've seen the remake years ago and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
See, then I don't know if I knew if there was an original.
I actually liked the remake because I liked Pierce Brosnan and Rene Russo in that, but but I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, but The Getaway was excellent as well. One of those movies that I think at the time was popular with the audience, but not so much with critics. But critics have come around in later years, especially since it's been remade in the 90s.
Yeah. Well, happens. Welcome,
the funny
Kurt
story
Gunnarsson.
about The Gateway. The only story about The Getaway. Sorry, not Gateway. Getaway is.
I thought you said gay way for a second.
I said Gateway.
That's your way, runner. So
yeah, yours
Fuck
is
you.
the
Fuck you, brother.
keep
God, I
running
should've
around
said
these
that.
gay bars. No.
No, just no.
Well, his name's Runner because he likes to get a train run on him.
Oh, fuck off. Oh, fuck off, you bastard.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yes.
I know.
But welcome, Kurt Gunnarsson. Glad to have you join the
But
stream.
the good story I have for The Getaway was that, oh God, what's his name? The guy from, the bad guy from Godfather Part 1.
What is that guy's name?
I don't know.
Anyway, he's in the movie.
I'll remember that by now.
The same actor's in this movie.
I gotta rewatch The Godfather.
And he was originally, they wanted really, really, really badly, they wanted Jack Palance. Like to the point where they referred to it as the Jack Palance role. They didn't even refer to the character by name.
No, they just say
Jack they got Palance so hung up on having Jack Palance play that role that they made him an offer. He was interested in the film, but he doubled the amount or tripled the amount that he wanted for the movie because he knew they wanted him.
Right.
Well, and then of course they balked on the price, and he got pissed because they rescinded the offer. Because not only did they want to, rescind the offer, they didn't just want to deny him, the amount that he wanted. They wanted to really make him hurt, so they took away the offer. Well, that was a big mistake because I guess the offer was so official enough that he won in a court of law. So even though he's not in the movie, they had to pay Jack Palance the amount he wanted.
Nice.
So this movie was one of those movies that was already deep in the red, but before it even got film rolling, kind of thing, or even released, whatever you want to call it. So that, like, this movie had a history of even more of a history than Bullet, because then the other part was half the people did not want Ally McGraw in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you guys know who she is or not, but Ally McGraw was in most famously Love Story, but at the time she was married to the head of Paramount Studios while she's fucking Steve McQueen.
She ended up marrying Steve McQueen, I think.
And she ended up marrying Steve McQueen. Yes, you're right, Tim.
This sounds believable.
But what's funny is her husband is the one that got her the role in the movie.
Oh.
You want to be in this
because
movie?
Even though he knew the two were fucking, and this is actually covered in The Offer. So if you see the movie, the show The Offer about the making of The Godfather, Yeah, so like it's actually happened, and yeah, he insisted. She's like, because he knew it was the best role she was ever going to get, and she hadn't been in a movie in a year. And yeah, it caused a lot of problems in Hollywood, but it was one of those things that so yeah, the critics were horrible to her, but because she was in the movie was a hit. So it was one of those things because the audience came for her. Right. It was Steve and her together because at the time they were a hot couple. The rumors were going around. Everything was like, yeah, you know, because even Evans, the guy that her husband was like, everybody in town fucking knows you're fucking but me. I guess that's something he really fucking said to her too. He says that in The Offer, so it's like hilarious. But like Robert Evans was a character. Right. Still is he passed? And is he still with us?
I don't know. Let's look him up real quick.
I think he just passed recently, if I remember right. Al Lettieri, thank you, Steven. This is why Steven is awesome, because he always remembers the shit I don't.
Yeah, yes. Steven's the
he played Salazzo, but he also plays the heavy in this too, in the Getaway. But
he died in 2019.
Yeah, I was gonna say it wasn't too long ago. I know. Yeah. He was a cool dude, though. We need more Robert Evans in the world.
Definitely.
He's the kind of guy who's like, fuck it, I want to see a movie like that.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's do some cocaine. He is so cool. He had his own animated series, guys. Like that's how cool Robert Evans was. Like,
that's the man.
He was one of the youngest studio heads ever, and he is responsible for The Godfather, Rosemary's Baby. Got another handful of films over at Paramount that did very, very well. The Getaway actually started at Paramount. That's why he was involved anyway. But he famously said, look, I pay these people to tell me if it's going to be too much, and they say the budget's too much, so I should listen to them. And so they sent the movie in turnaround because he didn't think anybody was going to pick it up for that amount. Because he's like, everybody else in town is going to say the same thing my budget people did. So they'll just come back here and they'll have to renegotiate with us, and we'll get the movie done for what we say. But Warner Brothers picked it up. So it was just one of those things, you know, it just happens. And it was a big hit for him. So, and it was technically, I think, McQueen's last big hit. So, because after that, he did not have too many great films. Did a handful of films that didn't do so well for him. Yeah. The Hunter was his last film, and that was, I think, the closest thing he had to a hit after that.
Yeah, and then he sadly got sick, and we know what happened.
Yeah, The Hunter came out the same year he died, so yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like the Shootist with John Wayne, the Shootist and the Hunter.
Very much so. Those two have a very,
they're very similar.
Very similar careers in a sense. And Steve also, you know, you can tell, especially after you watch, and you can especially tell after watching the documentary that I got to revise myself a little bit, because I always said that obviously Leonardo DiCaprio's character was based on
McQueen's
Burt Reynolds,
Burt Reynolds.
And who else? Oh, Clint Eastwood, but you got to add McQueen in there too.
Yeah,
big piece of McQueen.
Yeah, because his Western was very similar to McQueen's Western.
Very much so. And he did have a similar relationship with his stuntman for a while, but then they fell out later. Not so much fell out later on, but they just didn't have as close a relationship to where McQueen actually even kind of forgot. It was kind of weird.
Oh, man. That sucks.
McQueen was really fucked up near the end, too. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Look, McQueen is one of those guys. He's a traditional man. He's what you would call a traditional man in Hollywood. He was not afraid to show it. He could be the most charming guy in the world, or he could be a huge asshole. Just depends on what day you caught him or what news you had for him. And when it came to Ally McGraw, famously, he slapped her for real in that scene in the movie. It's one of the most famous scenes in the movie. He basically smacks her around, and he does it for real.
Yeah,
you can fucking tell that Ally had no idea that shit was coming.
Like, the look on her face.
Yeah, it was just like, and I guess that's the kind of guy McQueen was sometimes. And this was because even Neil, his ex-wife, said she never remembered him getting violent with her but once. And the one time he ever did was it was about the getaway, believe it or not. And they had also been having a tumultuous relationship because of all this shit, obviously.
Right.
But she stayed on as like his manager or whatever. And he goes, well, I don't understand. I don't know how to play this as far as, because in the movie, the whole movie starts off as predicated. For those who don't know, real quick, Ally McGraw's character is married to Steve McQueen's character, and he's been in prison for a while. He's made an offer from this one guy who, I can't remember if he's like a senator or something like that. He works within the system somewhere. I can't remember exactly what he is. But this guy wants to make a deal with him. He can get him out early, but he's got to do a deal for him, like a job. But so he tells his wife, go tell him I'll make the deal. Well, this guy also wants to sleep with her, so that's part of the deal as far as he's concerned. And so this is a big part of the story in the original book and in the movie, and in the both, it's kind of ambiguous as to whether or not she really wanted to do it or not. Because there's a lot of stuff that goes, and if you ever see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. I don't want to spoil it too much.
Okay.
But I'm only telling you this because, Steve brought it up as a concern. He's like, well, how do I play that and still, have the macho persona or be the guy and the man, the situation, a man who's been hurt, obviously, by his wife sleeping with this other dude, but it's for the reasons to get him out and blah, 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 blah. And she's like, well, you should know how to handle that. You've been cheated on yourself. And she said, I woke up on the couch. That's all I remember.
Oh, man. Dang.
That's the only time he ever laid a hand on her, I guess. So.
I guess that really made him mad.
Yes.
Well, then.
So clearly he knocked her ass out.
Yeah, apparently so.
But he was nice enough to put her on the couch. But I guess him and Allie's relationship was much more, what do you call it? I guess they would get it much worse in a sense. So, yeah. But I guess he had a really good relationship with Neil after that. And even his kids said that they made sure that he was always there for them, and they never had this your time, my time bullshit between her and him. Like he was always given free reign for time with the kids and all that kind of business. And his kids could never say enough good things about him. So,
yeah.
And that was the thing, is he was raised without a dad. He grew up in a boys' home. And so he always said that he would always be a good dad. He didn't quite know how to be a husband, but he knew how to be a good dad. So, and that was just by doing the exact opposite of what his dad did.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, some people just have their flaws sometimes. So
no, and again, I'm not excusing his behavior.
Exactly.
At this time, you got to remember, it was kind of a guy's place if your woman was acting out, to kind of go, all right, enough of that shit. And that was expected.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes, yeah, back in the day.
She acted for quite a few years. I believe she's retired now. I believe she's still alive. No, she had a fairly extensive career. Nothing to the heights that she had early on, but
yeah. Well, just woke up on the couch. Captain,
she's like, yeah, I blacked out evidently. Clearly, like sarcastically.
I needed some vitamin B. That's all.
Shouldn't have said that.
My documentary, Why We Love the Video Store, will be coming out soon. I'm in the editing process. I got my last interview last week, so I'm hoping to get that up in the next couple of weeks. I got to do a lot of editing on that, but then I'll have it up very soon for you guys. So be prepared.
Yeah, and then the documentary, it also gets into some other stuff too. But of course, Steve, when he got older and got sick, he changed, obviously. He could have seen things in a different way. So he tried to get as much done in those last few years as he could, or the last year or whatever that he knew.
Yeah, when he knew he was coming to the end.
More with his family and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I definitely got to pick up those Blu-rays and the Quentin Tarantino book. I get where he's coming from with the 70s, why he thinks 70s is better than 80s movies. I get it. I totally get it.
No, he gives his reasoning, which I like.
Yeah, exactly.
He said it before, and I didn't quite get what he meant. Now I do, but after reading the book, it's because he flat out says because they were willing to take chances in the 70s that they never would in the 80s.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair.
kind of what it was is like, like even then that was his point of the Getaway, was like, even then he knew they would never do that ending. And he even asked, I can't remember if it was Walter Hill or the director about it. And he's like, well, I knew they never specifically told me not to do the El Rey ending, but I kind of knew what they expected, meaning clearly they didn't want that.
Right.
Because even then, even though they weren't, Hollywood wasn't all about giving us happy endings. That's kind of the thing, is his big point of contention with the 80s is like, you were never going to get a movie again until the 90s where, it was just balls out, insane, crazy, fun exploitation, not having necessarily a happy ending, not everything always being, coming up roses. And even brings up the fact that, he even brings up the fact that he's wrong in a sense that audiences like the shit, right? He knows, he's well aware of that. He's like, he goes, my opinion is clearly in the minority here, because if you watched in the 80s, I went to several films where inexplicably in the third act, everything would turn around and everything would turn out happy for a happy ending, but for no good fucking reason, but the audience didn't give a shit.
Right.
Because they just wanted to be happy leaving the theater. Right.
It was like, I can't remember who said it. It's just because people were like, in the 80s, it kind of went back to like the 50s type thing. People were coming out like the Vietnam and all that, and people were kind of just
that's exactly
wanting to be
said.
happy
he
again.
The sanitized time of the 50s is what he compared it
right.
to. Yes.
Yeah, they want to be happy again at that time. But I get like I said, I totally get where he's coming from. I know he's in the minority, but I get it. I get it.
I mean, no, and again, I kind of have to agree with him in a way, because it's like, I love a lot of 80s films, but yeah.
Yeah,
they are kind of. I see where he's coming from, but Runner has to leave.
Runner has to go.
Yeah, sorry, I don't want to jet too early, but
what's your third pick so we can make fun of you quick?
Yeah, just show it real quick.
No, I'm gonna save it till next week.
All right, fine.
Unless you want me to show it.
No,
I mean, it's up to you. You can save it and come.
No,
bring it back next week.
I'll save it tomorrow. Next week. I'll save it next week.
Take care, Runner.
All right, have a good one, buddy.
What do you got for us, Tim? I'm done.
Well, I think I did all three of mine.
Yeah, he did his three.
You did? Okay, so it's your turn.
My final pick, yeah. Okay, so I just got this new 4K. It's a new movie. It's on 4K. It's called Kill Her Goats. This is a 4K steelbook. It's a good movie. I like this movie. Not everybody will like this movie. It was a Kickstarter type movie, and then they're releasing this. Sadly, when mine came, you see that? My mailman broke my steelbook. So
no.
I'm getting a new one. I have a new one sent to me. But I enjoyed this movie. This is a movie, all practical effects, no CGI whatsoever. Kane Hodder is the goat face, the big guy, standing behind a woman there. And it's essentially this movie about these three women. One of them has just got her dream home in the town of West Craven. It's in Massachusetts. She got her dream home, and her and her two best friends are staying at this place. And it's a slow burn movie. I've heard some people complain about it because they think it's too slow, because it's essentially these three women in this house for the bulk of the movie before things start happening. But Runner's not here to hear this, but I mean, they take showers, they get naked, they do stuff like that. They watch scary movies, and then Goatface Kane Hodder shows up and he starts, slashing. That's essentially the whole movie there. I enjoyed the movie. It's a nice little throwback to 80s and like early 90s horror. It's got some pretty cool practical effects to it, and it was a fun movie. I just had a fun movie, and I wanted to get the 4K steelbook. Sadly, the mailman broke it, and but I got a new one coming on the way. So it's good. It's good. That's really about it. I did a review on the movie, so that's my final pick. I think it actually contains 3 playmates from the Playboy, and the last actual nude playmate is in this movie. She was never, after the Playboy cut out the nudity, she was the last one. She's in this movie, so it's fun. I enjoyed it. That's really all I got to say about it. That was my final pick of the night. Yeah.
So you have any more, Tom?
No, that was my final pick.
Yeah, that's all I watched this week. Yeah.
Okay.
check out my review of the movie if you guys want to know more, because
Yeah,
I
we went
talked a lot about it.
earlier,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we've been
So
going 2 hours now.
yeah, and we even started early. But yeah, check that. It's just fun. It's a fun movie. But yeah, anything you guys want to say before we close it all out? No.
Nope, the
Alrighty.
Sex Secret of the Incas is out on DVD and Blu-ray from Kino Lorber. It's the one that inspired Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, stars Charlton Heston. It's from the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
It's one they got from Paramount.
Cool.
Okay.
Nice.
Hear about that one.
Good night, Brian Barth. Glad to have you in the chat as always. All right, Tom. There's anything you want to plug on your channel coming up or anything?
We get the morning show tomorrow. Or wait, no, we don't. It's Thursday. Midnight's Edge After Dark tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, you just had Midnight's Edge in the morning this morning.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yep, indeed.
Appreciate you guys. Tim, glad to have you here. Tom, glad to have you here. Runner, glad to see you that you made an appearance, even though he's that kid. But yeah, there you go. And also, I myself will be having a huge Scream talk dropping Friday. I already recorded it, so for this Friday with Michelle from Force of Light Entertainment, we talk Scream. That will be released Friday on my channel, so keep an eye out on that. But as we go, as always, thank you all for hanging with us, everybody in the chat, everybody watching. I appreciate you all, each and every one of you. I really, really do. And thank you, Tim, and everybody that's a channel member here. Deleted Scenes, as always, great being a wrench. And you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
How you doing? Bitches leave.